Good day, good day, good day. Welcome to another episode of Maximize Your Brand Monday with Markeith Braden. I am the host of Maximize Your Brand Monday. Markeith Braden, personal brand strategist, speaker, and podcast host, all about helping you to grow and build your brand online so that you grow your influence that impacts your income. So excited to be with you today across Facebook and LinkedIn. As you come into the space, go ahead, type your name in the comments and let me know where you are tuning in from. Welcome to Maximize Your Brand Monday. So excited to be with you each and every Monday. We kicked off Maximize Your Brand Monday on last week, where we're providing tips and strategies and encouragement and inspiration all around building your personal brand so that it impacts your influence and your income, because I'm all about leveraging your purpose, leveraging your skills and your talents in order to create the life that you deserve. And so welcome to Maximize Your Brand Monday. Last week, we did kick off the very first episode and we shared all around what it means to maximize your brand. And I gave you six tips around what it means to me to maximize your brand. And some of you were really surprised around what those tips were, because we have a tendency to think of certain things when it comes to branding or brand strategy. And so this is part 2 to last week, and I will review some of those tips. Well, I'll review all of those tips from last week, and then I'm going to add 6 more tips that are more practical steps to maximizing your brand. But before I continue, what I want you to do is, invite anyone whom you think will find great value out of today's episode on what it means to maximize your brand, part 2. What it means to maximize your brand, part 2. I'm going to go to social media real quick and make sure that we are live and everything is good and that we are moving forward with today's episode on LinkedIn as well as on Facebook pages. So it looks like we are good on the digital platforms. So let's review from last week. Some of the tips that I provided last week around what does it mean to maximize your brand, and what are some of these things that you could do or start thinking about in order to create a profitable, type in the comments, a profitable personal brand. A profitable brand. And many of these concepts are usual concepts around whether you're building a personal brand or more of a corporate brand. These concepts still apply. So type in the comments, and I appreciate anyone for typing the notes. For those who might be joining the replay, I'm going to take some water real quick. Those who might be joining the replay, I appreciate anyone who might type in the notes so that they can capture them. But of course, they'll also be on the screen. So let's review real quick here. So tip number 1, or point number 1, if you're going to maximize your brand, you've got to know your purpose and know your why. This is from last week. You got to know your purpose and know your why. So we're just going to do a quick review. Point number 2 from last week is that you've got to hone in on your innate and learned skills. If you're going to maximize your brand, you got to hone in on those innate and learned skills. Point number 3, you got to have clarity of your values and your mission. Have clarity of your values and your mission. And these points from last week were really foundational points to building a profitable brand. These are things that we tend to kind of overlook, oversee, rush past. But what you definitely want to do is spend time around these foundational points. Point number 4, you want to create your value proposition. And last week I gave you a simple way to come up with your value proposition. And that was to answer these 3 questions or fill in these blanks. I am, fill in the blank. I help, fill in the blank. to do, fill in the blank, so they can, fill in the blank. 4 statements. I am Markeith Braden, podcaster, speaker, and personal brand strategist. I help subject matter experts who desire to become coach, consultant, or speaker to maximize and build their brand and influence online so they can impact their income. So you got to fill in the blank. What are your fill in the blanks? I am fill in the blank. I help fill in the blank. To do fill in the blank so they can. So they can. So that was point number 4. Point number 5, you got to define your niche and your area of expertise. And so I ended up in my area of expertise because I was marketing and promoting myself as a speaker, leveraging various tools and things. And then people started to ask me, Markeith, how do you really develop your brand as a speaker? How do you really develop your authority online? What are things that I can do to become seen, heard, and get paid? And so that's how I really got into the whole personal branding topic and brand strategy. Point number 6, which was the final point from last week, was you got to provide a value mindset and be helpful. So when you're networking, you're not networking to find who can help you. You're networking to find who you can help. And you want to have a value-based mindset, and you want to be very, very helpful. Be extremely helpful to individuals so that you can become known for the thing, for the service, for the product that you are offering. So I'm going to take a quick break and see if anybody has any questions. If anybody has any questions here, because I want to make sure that we are good. See any questions, any statements, anything there. All right. Thank you for joining today. Feel free to type your questions in the comments. Feel free to share any statements in the comments as well, but we will keep going. So part two of how do you maximize your brand? How do you maximize your brand? Now, these 6 tips that I'm going to be sharing with you, or 6 points, are more practical application type of things. We got the foundation in place. Now we want to do some practical things in order to maximize our brand. So point number 7, that in today's marketplace, you have to consider yourself as a media company. Excuse that typo. Consider yourself or consider your business as a media company. And what am I saying? That in today's age of marketing yourself, of promoting yourself, branding yourself, you really have to think about what media will you use to market yourself? What media strategy will you use to market yourself? For example, I love to live stream. I love to podcast. I love speaking. So pitching myself to speak at conferences. You got to think of yourself as a media company, as an individual, as a business that is consistently producing media content that will exist online, that will exist in the metaverse. You've got to think of yourself as a media company. And as you're thinking about that, what will be your primary outlet or primary form of media? Will it be podcasting? Will it be video? Will it be radio, traditional media? You've got to determine how that's going to work. It could be a little bit of each. But I have found for myself, because I am a speaker, that I love podcasting and I love video. And so what I do is I bridge the two worlds together, because podcasting is typically only audio And I love doing live streams. So what I've done is I bridged the two together and I have a video podcast. And why do I do that? I love video podcasting as my form of media, as my form of way of sharing media, because I can take the video and I can edit and cut up that video in multiple types of content. Video can become sound bites for promoting and marketing. You can strip the audio and create only an audio-based podcast. I can take the video and upload it as a YouTube to my YouTube channel. There are various things that you can do when you start with video. So you definitely want to consider your business as a media company, social media content. You want to be developing as much content as possible, and somebody type this in the comments, so that you're omnipresent. You want to create as much content as possible so that you're omnipresent. Omnipresent means that you are in all places at all times. That's what I love most about video. That's what I love most about video, is that you can be in multiple places at one time, multiple places at one time. Video is so crucial in today's marketing strategy. Today's marketing strategy, video is so crucial. Point number 7. You want to develop and communicate your brand authority. Now, brand authority just simply means that you are an authority in a particular niche, in a particular subject matter, and you are establishing your brand authority around that. You're showing up as the authority in that particular area. So you need to develop that. You need to develop that authority in that particular area by showing up in a consistent way, which brings me to one of my other points, is that you've got to show up in a particular way by creating your brand messaging and your primary offer. So let's go back. So you got to develop and communicate your brand authority. Point number 8, develop that and communicate it in an effective way by showing up. And you also have to create your brand messaging and what your primary offer is. And so what's your message? Why are you doing what you're doing? Remember, let's go back to part 1. Understanding your why, knowing your purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? I love personal branding because it helps me to help others to align with their authentic purpose, to leverage that in a way as a business, as an opportunity to create extra income, as an opportunity to really create the life that they deserve. Now, why is that so important to me? It's important to me because for a decade, I worked jobs that were unfulfilling and not really in alignment with my purpose. They provided a great source of income, but they weren't in alignment in my purpose, so I felt unfulfilled. And so I had to tap into my inner self, my purpose, to really fully understand what my innate gifts were, what my innate talents were, and how I could leverage that as a business to build my influence. So what is the message? The message for me comes from a quote by the late Dr. Miles Monroe, that the greatest failure in life is to be successful at the wrong assignment. So my message to you is that there is a right assignment just for you, that you can create a business around that assignment, around your gifts, talents, and expertise, so that you can live a freedom-based lifestyle, so that you can create the life that you deserve through your message, through your branding, through your marketing, through that in which you love to do. So point number 8, once again, was you got to develop and communicate your brand authority. And you got to create your brand messaging and your primary offer. Let's talk about primary offer. What are you ultimately offering? Is it coaching? Is it keynote speaking? Is it consulting? Is it a product? Is it a series of services? I primarily offer keynote speaking, group coaching, podcasting. Keynote speaking, group coaching, podcasting, and I determine what's most appropriate based on the audience that I'm speaking to. Based on the audience that I'm speaking to. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions, type those in the comments. Any question, type those in the comments. All right. Point number 10. Point number 10. Determine your marketing strategy. So I really like this conversation because sometimes we go back and forth betwixt and between what marketing is versus what branding is. And I like to teach it this way, that marketing pushes, branding pulls. Say it again. Marketing pushes, branding pulls. So marketing is pushing out your information, pushing out your event, pushing out your services, pushing out the value you provide to the marketplace, pushing it out so that people become aware of what it is that you have to offer. Your branding should be attracting people who connect with your message, who connect with your niche area of expertise, who connect with your story, who connect with your transformation. And so you should be pulling in people based on the promise of what you provide through branding. So you got to determine what your marketing strategy is. A part of my marketing strategy is live streaming, podcasting, nurturing my audience with valuable content that will be helpful for them as they grow their personal brand, as they build their influence that impacts their income. So I'm not just teaching you how to grow and build, but I also want to give you strategies of how that can grow your income. Quick, a little water here. Also want to give you strategies of how that can grow your income. So point number 10, determine your marketing strategy. Point 11, 2 more points. Show up consistently. Now, let me tell you, showing up consistently can be difficult because we have so many different things going on in our lives, right? We have so many different things happening. But consistency is the key in attracting the right clients to your business and attracting the right customers to your business, showing up consistently. So as I stated, every Monday, we're going to have a Maximize Your Brand Monday. Now, I may not be live every Monday, depending on my schedule. I may have to play Maximize Your Brand Monday live. But we're going to be consistent in showing up each and every week, every Wednesday. Podcast. I took about a 3-month hiatus, but I let my audience know what was happening along the way. Show up consistently. Somebody type that in the comments. Show up consistently. One more time. Show up consistently. If you're watching the replay, show up consistently. Show up consistently. No matter whatever you decide to do, show up consistently. Don't overbook yourself. Don't overwhelm yourself, but show up consistently. Keep your word. And point number 12, tracking and automation. Now, this is important, one, because you want to know what works. And the only way you know what works is by tracking the data. So, for example, with Facebook Lives, how many views am I getting every week? Am I growing in views? Am I decreasing in views? What's my call to action when I'm doing these videos? And is it automated when I give that call to action? So we always want to be tracking. We always want to input or add automation to our business so that we're not manually doing things each and every week. So tracking and automation helps you to maximize your brand. Markeith, what is the call to action? Call to action is exactly what I did at the very beginning. If you're not a part of my community, what I'm going to say, if you're not a part of my community, I want you to text me the keyword personal brand, all one word, no spaces, to 77222. That's my call to action for today. Hey, shoot me a text, personal brand as the keyword, to 77222 and join my list of brand maximizers. So this was part 2, what it means to maximize your brand. This is an opportunity for you to really get some practical steps. And let's go through these 6 points from today again. Point number 7, consider your business as a media company. Point number 8, develop and communicate your brand authority. Develop and communicate your brand authority. Point number 9, create your brand messaging and your primary offer. My coach likes to call it your signature offer. Point 10, determine your marketing strategy. Point 11, show up consistently. And point 12, track and automate. Track and automate. So you always want to be thinking about these things. You always want to be thinking about these things so that you're doing exactly what it is that you intend to do. You always want to be doing these things. Always want to be doing these things to making sure that you are maximizing your brand, that you are maximizing your brand at all times. At all times, you always want to be doing these things. And so anybody have any questions? I am just kind of wanting to see, looking at the social media channels and making sure that we are still good there and still live. Anybody have any questions? Any questions today? Let me check over here on LinkedIn and check on Facebook. Any questions today? So not seeing any questions today. I just want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining me today for another Maximize Your Brand with Markeith Braden. Hey, be sure to check out the podcast each and every Wednesday. Go to Maximize Your Brand on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play Music. You can find us there. Download the podcast from your favorite podcasting platform. Maximize Your Brand with Markeith Braden podcast. Always excited to be sharing with you there. Seeing that there's no other questions, thank you for joining me again for Maximize Your Brand Monday. And we'll be right here next week for another brand new Maximize Your Brand Monday. And we'll talk soon. Take care.